Hello and welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on our beautiful cold, in New York anyway, Wednesday morning. We have Lachlan and Carl here presenting from Wheresight. You might have seen them in our partnership community last year. Really happy to have them back again for 2026. They're going to be presenting an exclusive look at the digital maturity of tourism businesses in New York State. So they have been working with some of our NYSTIA members over the past few months. So we're really excited to have them share about their findings there and answer any of you guys' questions. As always, the slide deck and any resources, as well as contact information for Lachlan and Carl, will be shared in the recap as well as the recording. So please keep an eye out for that. And we hope to see you guys in April at our event. So if you haven't been registered, please take a look at that as well. You should see some of the Wheresight people there at the conference. But I'm going to kick it off and send it over to Carl and Lachlan to get started. Thank you all for joining.
Great. Thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Bob. And good morning, everyone in New York. My name is Carl Llewellyn. I'm glad to have met many of you in the past and to share with you 12 months on work that we've done in New York State with a number of our partners. So we've, and just a quick reminder on Wheresight, we partner with DMOs and CVBs in New York State to measure, benchmark and impact the digital maturity of the tourism businesses in your community. So looking at all the attractions, the experiences, and the festivals, the events, any business that derives most of their revenue from tourist dollars, we're measuring how are they digitally capable today, where should they be, and how can we impact that. I work with the engagement, making sure we're setting up something that commercially makes sense for the DMO and the tourism business in the destination. And I'm joined by Lachlan, who works effectively with the DMOs on our digital maturity accelerator program and is involved in that end-to-end audit. And his role today is kind of give you an overview of the insights that we've gathered so far in the partners that we've worked with. A little calibration on digital maturity is a term. It's not something we made up. It's something. It's an expression we use. Really, it's an umbrella term for every touch point that a business has digitally. The tools, the data, the technology, the skills they have to optimize visitor experience and conversion rate. So when we're looking at manual parts of the process, duplication, and what can we take out? And we all know this matters now more than ever, because as those tourists are driving through the state and through each of your counties and making decisions on what they're going to do with that weekend away, that family trip, that visit to Baseball Hall of Fame, or wherever their kind of final destination might be, Niagara, they're saying, well, what we do today, they're searching on their phone, and if the business can't be found, if it doesn't look good when it's found, if it's a Facebook page designed by a cousin, and if it can't be booked, well, they're just not doing it. And this year is our first full year of the kind of AI ChatGPT voice search, where they're saying it into their phones, they're saying it into their car, not even typing it in. So that putting more and more pressure on that searchability for content. So raising those boats for the destination and controlling the narrative is where what we're heavily involved in. And we all know the challenges are associated with that in terms of consistency, getting the right talent on board, making decisions, signing budget, and these are the challenges that are faced at an individual property level. What we do for businesses is that we work really in that kind of creating an audit and report. This is what we're going to show you as part of today, and then the diagnostic that comes from that. So get an assessment of where they are today, set a diagnostic of where each business should be at, and then give a roadmap, a kind of a step-by-step, easy steps roadmap for each business to improve. So what we want to show you today is what we've learned so far with the 4 counties that we're working with in New York. We've anonymized and merged the data to be fair to each of the counties, so we're not going into any individual business by name or referencing any individual county by name. What we're showing you, though, is collated data primarily from New York State, and Lachlan is going to just bounce into the very specific lessons that we've got, or things that we've spotted which we hope, or which we believe will be relevant to all counties to look at. So on that, I'll hand over to Lachlan to get into the product itself. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Carl. I'm just going to share my screen now and bring you up the presentation I have, just with some of the latest data hot off the press. And just while I'm doing that, just some background about myself. I've had over 10 years experience working within DMOs and national tourist boards, both in Ireland and Australia, at a county and regional and a state level. So I'm really excited to share this data with you, because I know from your perspective how important it is and how exciting it is to get access to this kind of data from a DMO perspective. You know, and all the challenges and the politics, the stakeholders, and indeed the industry development that you guys do working with these businesses. So if you can see the screen there, this is our first overview. So this is the combined information, the very latest data from the 4 DMOs across New York State. We're seeing an average score of 54% digital maturity. And I'm just going to explain what that means to begin with. We measure that based on 18 different indices across a number of different measurements, based on an assessment that we send out to members of the DMOs and who complete it. You'll see on the right-hand side what we call a spidergram, and you can see the results there. Some are stronger than others across the DMOs. So you can see the weaker points would be around skills and knowledge, managing bookings. We're not surprised at that. You know, a lot of the operators we see are smaller businesses and don't have unified booking systems with a single source of truth. And then we have some stronger results in things like website technology. So most businesses have a website, indeed, and a website with CMS. Some people and some festivals are using just Instagram and stuff, and that's why you don't see a 100% website score there. But to give you a sense, these are all the different indices we measure across: booking, web analytics, web technology, AI adoption, time and resources, accessibility, sales reporting. And I'm going to give you an overview of some of the results across that. Just to talk to you about this dashboard for a second, this is what you would see as a DMO. All this information I'm going to bring you through, you will see this for your own members and your own county if you sign up and you get access to this program. For example, you'll see measurement across leadership and governance in terms of the operators and how serious they're taking digital, digital investment, digital innovation, and indeed strategy and leadership. We look at customer experience. We look at things like product readiness. Is the product of the operators ready to sell online? Can they put it on a Fair Harbor or a check front? And indeed, is it ready to go across to an OTA like Get Your Guide or Viator or even Booking.com? Is there a minimum price being charged for that as well? We look at digital marketing. We look at website experience. And then we get on to technology. We're looking at web analytics, CRM. You'll see 48% of businesses have a CRM in place, but that's 52% who don't have CRM in place. We've got a lower score around AI and adoption, and I've got some charts, really interesting info on these in a later few slides. And then just to give you a sense, the other areas we look at is operational capability. So I mentioned that managing bookings is down to 27%. So we do see a relatively low level of maturity around a unified booking platform amongst the operators we've started to engage with. And we have a mixed result in skills and knowledge and culture. But there seems to be a real eagerness to learn and to get involved in improving their digital platform. If you look on the left, I'm just going to bring you through now, give you a sense of the type of businesses we were looking at before I get into the actual information. But you've got a small sort of mom and pop SMEs, businesses of 1 to 5 employees. 50% of businesses are 1 to 5 employees. So just keep that in mind when we're looking through this. And if you see the annual visitor volume, they get the largest numbers, 27% get between 1,000 and 5,000. So not a huge amount of visitors, but they might be more high value. We can also break this down, and you can do this as well. As you survey attractions, you'll see you can click by attractions and you'll see they're smaller businesses again. Or if you click on festivals, you'll see you have higher numbers for festivals. You've got up to 100,000 for some county fairs and stuff. But this is the all types view where you'll be able to see all businesses. And indeed, if we just look at business categories, you'll see the different types of business categories that we looked at. Wineries and distilleries and breweries are the biggest number. So there's something in the water in New York State there. at 21%, but also we've got a lot of historic museums and sites, arts and culture, and outdoor recreational and activities. We've got lots of different festivals coming in there as well, and heritage attractions. So there's a good broad mix of attractions and festivals that we've looked at to date. We look at target markets, so we're getting in to see who's looking at what state, and we look at the audiences there. The most popular targets, and this is probably no surprise, outside of New York is Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut. We also have a look at the international markets and countries that our operators were looking at, and Europe is actually just ahead of Canada, and maybe there's no surprise of Canada not being the biggest priority at the moment, or that's more of a challenge. But also the UK, we've got 25% of operators looking overseas. So that's an interesting take, because they are looking beyond the local states to New York state. And you can see, but the majority have no relevant international content on their website. So that's certainly a gap. We know a lot of German and Dutch visitors like to go into New York State and visit and experience there, but they may not have the language capabilities on the site. Let's just have a quick look at leadership. So you have 48% of businesses had no digital goals at the start of this process. Very little digital investment, and we had one team member buy-in in terms of the sort of leadership and governance insights we're getting out of this. I think one of the important things to note here is this is a process. This is at the start of the process. So even we had a chat with one of the operators the other day, and they said just by going through this assessment initially, they have learned a lot about what they're doing right and what they're missing, and even what they haven't thought about. So really great feedback. He said that he can now start thinking about other areas just by seeing what we're measuring. And we're really happy to hear that to start with. There's another measurement we look at is skills and capacity. And I'll just draw your attention to some of the skills that are missing. Data and analytics at 64%. They're very much at the beginner level. So a lot of the operators have no familiarity with analytics and no familiarity. A lot of them don't use Google Analytics, for example, to track their visitor traffic. And that's something we're working with them now to actively put in place. In fact, we had one of my colleagues who's a mentor for digital marketing was on last week to an operator, and he was able to put Google Analytics tagging on to their site on the call. So they're now going to see the traffic coming in to see who's buying tickets from their festival and where that traffic is coming from. Is it coming from Instagram? Is it coming from other sources as well? So some really great wins at the early stage of this process as well, with some of our operators participating in this. In all of this, as your DMO dashboard, as a DMO, you'll have this, what I'm showing you at your fingertips. And every time, as I said, you can cut by attractions and festivals. We're rolling out accommodation and golf and a few other types over the next few weeks, and you'll be able to send these assessments to those sectors as well very shortly. Let's go to technology next. Technology is something that we're looking at for websites. And so, as I said on the earlier point, most have websites, which is good to hear. But not everyone has CMS. So a lot of those operators, 25%, can't update their content, can't add recent information, can't add events or anything going on in the area. So that's constricting them. And 50% don't have any CRM system in place, so they can't really run effective email marketing campaigns. We'd look at web accessibility here, and this refers to your digital accessibility for people who may be struggling with oral or oral difficulties and need help in terms of having screen readers. Now, this is a really important measurement. I'd say keep an eye on this as we go forward, because as we look at AI agents and LLMs, this is actually a really good way of seeing how fit your website is in terms of being able to be found and read by AI agents and ChatGPT type AI platforms as well. Because if it can be read by a digital reader, for accessibility, it can be read by an LLM. So this is a really good metric. So if you're improving your web accessibility, you're improving your AI agent friendliness as well. I'm going to jump down to marketing then, because we got to see who is spending what on which channels. The most popular, probably not surprising, is organic social media. Just about everyone is using organic social media to some extent. But we look at the next most popular is email marketing, and then organic search. Only 12% of operators are using paid social ads to date, and even less are using paid search. So that's 7% out of 100%. So there's a heck of a lot of opportunity there for them to be looking at other avenues of digital marketing channels to help drive visitors and spend to their websites. If you look at social spend, it's very low, but we also ask this, so it gives you a sense of who's spending what in your county and what they're spending on. This is really good for if you want to look at creating, digital marketing workshops or programs to see where you need to focus as well. Once again, if I put this by festivals, you'll see festivals generally have a higher spend on digital marketing and are spending on more channels. They have generally a more sophisticated product, and indeed their digital maturity we see across the board, both in Europe and in the States, is higher than attractions. Attractions have a lower level of digital maturity and they have less sophisticated booking systems, and some don't have any in place at all. We also then looked at booking. Booking is a really key part of this program, getting booking systems up and running, getting businesses to use and put on purchasable product online so that people can find and book that product and drive, economic investment both to their own business but also to your county. So a lot of businesses don't even have booking systems online that we looked at, and a few that do, a lot of them aren't real booking systems. So they're like Google Forms, or they're like using their e-commerce platforms for booking rather than proper attraction or experience booking systems like Fair Harbor or Eventbrite for festivals, and some of the other ones, White Peaks for ski resorts, etc. So we have a lot of work to be done on booking systems here. And as I said, when you can look at this by festivals and see what the festivals are using, there's a mix there. They all have one booking system in place, which isn't really a surprise because they have a product to sell, as in tickets to sell, and so they need an online way to sell that. But the attractions have less though. This is all at your fingertips from a DMO dashboard perspective as well. Now, the latest and greatest information on AI. I think this is a really exciting piece of information to look at. So what are your operators, what are the operators in New York State using? Well, no surprise that ChatGPT is the most popular AI platform in use. And then 14% are using Google Gemini, with 9% using Microsoft Copilot. And then we have 5% who are also using Claude. So there's a few who are venturing into the anthropic world of LLMs and AI as well. Let's have a look at how often they use, and the most popular or the most common use is occasionally 1 to 2 times a month. But 36% aren't even using AI yet or haven't tried it. And 12% are using it daily. So there's a cohort that are excited and using it. And we see this, we've chatted to them, and some people, they don't want to use it, they're just a bit afraid to use it, but some others, are really experimenting with it. It's also interesting what they're using it for. The most popular uses of AI at the moment from, small tourism operators in New York State is for website improvement, writing content, creating images for their website. And behind that, it's things like image generation, task automation, data analysis, and even creating itineraries. A couple of forward-thinking companies are creating itineraries and putting up on the site. We also see that 30% say it's having some positive impact, and another 6% significant impact on their business. So that's 36% in the positive. Very few are saying they have negative impact. If you look at the last measurement here, we're looking at 24% of operators are planning to invest in AI in the future. So it's a mixed bag, but generally it's a pretty healthy result, I think, in terms of AI engagement. Looking at innovation in the New York State tourism industry, people are willing to experiment on that area. I think the final thing I want to show you and talk to you about is product readiness. As you all know, having a ready product to sell online is really important, and we work with many businesses to look at how they can create products as well that will be used by the OTAs, such as Get Your Guide, but also that will be worthwhile putting online, such as say tours or tastings if you're a brewery, or kayaking afternoons. But that is a kind of a key area we look at, and we have a lot of different measurements around product readiness, such as if you look down here, we talk at, are they open to individuals or small groups? Are they open for 3 months of the year? Can they be reserved in advance? Is there last minute booking available? Do you get 100% refund? So there's a lot of different metrics here, which the more of these they have, the better the product, the more ready it is. And this is how we score the product readiness levels of them. We also look at how they're available. So if you want to see where they're selling their product online, 26% are selling on a website. Another 25% have walk-ins. 21% allow you to book through phone and email. And then 12% have group products as well. So there's only very, very few actually selling on OTAs at the moment. Now, remember, we don't have any accommodation providers in here. This is festivals and attractions. So you're going to see a much lower level of OTA engagement. But what we're seeing here is quite low indeed. So we have a big team of experts who work with OTAs, who understand booking distribution, and that are now working and engaging with the operators across these DMOs to help them understand about how to get their product up and running on that. I understand there's a lot of information there, and I've brought you through many different charts there today. There's some really good, gives a sense of it can give you a really good sense of the, the dynamics in your DMO and your county. And I'd be happy to chat through or answer any questions you have around any of the findings as well. I'll just tell you one last thing. We had another call around website technology last week with a guy who has a sports store and kayaking company, and he started off, saying he had no money to invest or didn't see the reason he should invest in a website. And one of our experts was on with him last week and talking through website engagement and website improvements. And he's now committing to spending up to $2,000 to invest in a new website. And that's a great win for him, and it's a great win for the county as well, because that product is now going to be able to be bookable online and available to people way beyond New York State and their own county as they search for it, and even coming in from overseas. So we're beginning to see this from a lot of the engagements we're having with operators, and we look forward to the journey we're going on over the next 12 months and beyond that throughout New York State as well. Carl, I'm going to hand back to you. I think that covers a lot there, and I've probably done enough talking now. If you want to continue. Thanks, guys.
Sure. Well, we wanted to leave time for questions. I think an important part of what Lachlan's sharing there within the tool, and we're going to try and share as much as we can, continually share as much as we can with New York State in terms of as we're seeing the different developments kind of coming through. But I'm going to just the two kind of standout things that we've seen there, and I'm sure Lachlan will add more, is 27% bookability. So that means that I could go onto the website, book the experience, arrive, show a QR code, show a barcode, and get in. So that means kind of only 1 in 4 of the attractions, experiences, and festivals are that. So that's the first lift that we're looking for, and we relay that information to each and every. This is a demo, so each and every one of the operators that we work with, we relay that information to them in terms of, look, booking and reporting, this is where you're at today, and this is what you need to do in order to improve that. And we give them identifiable kind of action plans for them to work on. So I think it's important for us to share that. It's not just a report, it's actually working with the operators to give them a clear roadmap on what to improve and how to improve across their territory. So 2 areas that we're seeing a lot of: bookability, improving that from 27%, trying to setting realistic goals. It's one of our stronger metrics as a business. But also, I think as Lachlan mentioned, accessibility. Accessibility is your kind of acid test to see, are you searchable with AI tools? And that's only at 12% from the businesses we've surveyed so far. So we try and link that back into the reporting part of the business. So how are they looking at overall as a DMO? How are we seeing in terms of their digital maturity, their access to experience and technology and learning, the people within the business? How are we seeing their people part of it, their capabilities and people skills to develop? So if we see here in terms of the resource, and that this is this particular business ability to improve, and we try and give that as a central information to all the DMOs. We've got a few minutes left, so Lachlan, I think we might see if there are any specific questions, and we're very happy to dive into the general information again with people on the call. If you want us, any of these categories here, we can go straight into.
It's not really a question, but
go ahead.
Hi, Sophia
Hey, Sophia.
Hi everyone. So Sophia Pico, Delaware County Tourism. So we are one of the counties that have partnered with Wheresight, and I just kind of wanted to echo what Carl and Lachlan said. And, they really have gone above and beyond working with our operators to help them understand where they're actually at. Everyone thinks, oh, well, we don't have Dubai money or, New York City money, but there are things that are achievable. And these roadmaps are really fantastic in terms of helping our local businesses and operators understand a strategy that they can accomplish and achieve as, individual entrepreneurs trying to run their business and keep the lights on. And so it's been great. I just wanted to say thanks and hi. And yeah.
Very good. Thanks, Sophie. I really, really appreciate that. I think what we've really enjoyed so far is the amount of businesses which are what we call SOHO, like there are 1 to 5 people working in them. And sometimes, we get that either tunnel vision or brain fog for what's important next. How do I figure out what to do? And we've, the team just getting that feedback from those individual operators saying, okay, I see it now. That's a good idea. Has been really encouraging for us. So, yeah, if you're, I think that's the message for we would be saying it to the other DMOs is those smaller businesses, there is an aptitude for a plan. We just need to kind of give them the good steps for it. Matt, I'm trying to read the question.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you read that question out loud there, Brooke?
Yeah. Is there an additional spend for individual operators if a DMO onboards with Wheresight?
Yeah, it's a cost per operator model, Matt. It starts at $500 per operator. I'm happy to share more information as a follow-up. We have a special out for New York State at the moment. I'm conscious not to make this a sales call, so I'll follow up with you afterwards and say now, but everyone in New York State, there is an ISDEA offer which was launched as part of this, so you'll get those details this week. But Matt, it's a cost per operator model and it suits a co-op sale if that's the way you're structured.
I'm going to jump in. This is Bob Provost from NISTEA. What particularly attracted us to work with Wheresight on this project is the fact that, we have begun a journey into the realm of what we refer to as tourism stewardship. And the idea here is, a lot of our TPAs/DMOs and CVBs are working very hard to upgrade their capacities, their digital maturity, their ability to work in a state-of-the-art environment. But it's critical to bring the business community along with us on this journey. Otherwise, all the work done at the county tourism level with the DMO or TPA or County Office of Tourism is lost because the businesses in the community can't capitalize on it. They can't follow up on it effectively and efficiently. So, we're hoping to do more work in this area, not just with Wheresight, but in similar types of circumstances in other categories. In the long run, it's important to us to bring the industry along, not just work with the destination marketing office. And I want to congratulate and salute Sophia and the other people who've already jumped on board, saw the wisdom in this, and are making things happen. I don't know the exact number of counties that have already logged in, Carl, but I think it's 4 or 5.
Yeah,
could be more at this point.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to make this part of a major push for 2026.
Yeah, well, look, we're 100% committed to New York State. We feel that we could create that benchmark data across the state. So when you look at your executive dashboard, this piece here, we want this spidergram so that you're able to say, hey, remember we talked about the distilleries. How are other distilleries doing? How am I comparing to other distilleries within New York State? Oh, wow, how are they getting that great score? And rather than give away their secret sauce or their recipe, but we can share, well, if you do this, this, and this, then these are the results. And it's the benchmarking which is our catalyst to change. So we're able to see here different lines. All this is New York data. Everything I'm showing here is New York State data. So being able to allow the DMOs and the individual operators to improve based on the actual scores and see, oh, I'm behind in my CRM. How do I improve my CRM? They've got this access for 12 months. They get their recommendations, and then they get there as stewardship, as Bob says, to work on. So look, our goal is we'll be with you in April. We want to do the same report in 12 months' time and say, hey, look, this is what's improving. This is what we're seeing is happening in the state, and trying to be at a state level as well as the individual DMOs that we're deep diving with, hopefully providing you with collective nuggets of these are things to grab onto. And any of the stats we quoted for you today, we're happy to share with you if they help you in terms of your granting, your board applications, or anything else that you want there. So we're here to support New York State and ISTEA. We're committed to that.
And before Brooke, you make your closing remarks, just so people have context, this is similar to the work that we've done with our friends at TAP in the area of developing public relations outreach in the past. We've worked with Alon Tourism Solutions on developing travel trade expertise amongst our constituent destination attractions and facilities, and also the work we did probably the first major one was working with Rove on developing the market intelligence dashboard that covers, as I understand it, 3/4 of the county. So there's other people in that space also doing similar work. And I just, want to encourage our members to explore what those opportunities are, because when we all invest together, we bring the individual costs down and the overall effectiveness up. And as Carl has indicated, there are special offers. It's very affordable, but it's also a case of the more people we get into this program, the better gauge we have on what we need to do and how we can help our members, upgrade the skill sets and effectiveness of the members of the industry across the state. So thank you, everybody, for your time today. And Brooke, I'll let you wrap things up. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Lachlan.
Cheers, Bob.
Great program.
Yes, thank you, Carl and Lachlan. I appreciate you guys coming on today and sharing all this information. Everybody, we will be sharing their slide deck and a recording of this, as well as their contact information. There'll be a follow-up email, I believe, coming from Bob as well. So keep an eye out for that. But I just wanted to say thank you all for joining us here today. I know that some of you are probably already wondering why there's not more Wednesday webinars on the schedule. We have a lot of things going on, so please keep an eye out for any updates. If we get another series together, it might be for March. So if you're interested in presenting, please fill out the proposal page, or if you're interested in attending and watching those webinars, please just keep an eye out in our newsletter and make sure you're signed up for that. But I wanted to say thank you all for being here and making this a successful January. And thank you again to the Wheresight team. And I hope you guys all stay warm and have a good rest of your week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
bro.
guys. Cheers.
Thanks.